is Grace Bender, and I plan to graduate in the fall of 2015 with a philosophy degree and a minor in religious studies.
And I'm Joshua Bertsch. I will graduate in spring of 2014 with degrees in political science and philosophy and a minor in economics.
I first came to IPFW in 2004, and after a couple failed attempts and bad decisions, I had a bunch of debt to pay off, so I decided that it would be a good idea to just kind of think about what I wanted to do while I was paying off that debt. So when I reached the point where I was financially ready to come back to school, I still hadn't decided, but I knew I was pretty knowledge thirsty, so I decided to start with philosophy. That's that.
For me, philosophy was the first degree I chose. I came in knowing I wanted to do something with that. I've always, for as long as I can remember, just been really interested in questions pertaining to the field of philosophy, things about what is existence, what's real, ethical questions as well, how do we know what's right and what's wrong. And I knew these were things, even if I didn't do anything with them as a profession, these were things I wanted to be able to explore at the university. So I came in having declared philosophy already and just loved it the whole time. And so I've added majors since, but I've never changed away from that. I've just added stuff in addition as I found other things I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I definitely think it caters to an inquisitive nature, so if you're constantly curious about things, asking why.
Yeah,
it's a good start for anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I always when I was a kid, I always wanted to know how things worked, and I always was taking things apart and putting them back together and trying to see how everything fit together to make things go. And not just with toys and appliances and whatnot. It just overall, with the world in general, that interest sort of carried over, and so philosophy was just a really natural fit for me. One thing that I've really enjoyed was I knew philosophy was a very wide field coming in, but just having been able to take some classes in subdomains like philosophy of science, philosophy of social science, those have been some of my favorite classes, and just discovering how broad it is. I think there really is an area of philosophy for everyone. I think just about anyone who's willing to actually put in the effort can find an area that they enjoy and that sort of fits their interest. For me, it's kind of philosophy of science. It's really eye-opening. We kind of, in middle school, learned this really idealized, simplified version of what science is and how it works, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then moving beyond that, and being able to see a little more what's really going on and how much debate there really is over what sort of confidence we ascribe to different scientific beliefs and scientific entities is, at least for me, was just really cool.
Yeah, one surprising thing I learned personally was because the study of philosophy is so broad and it can be so overwhelming, is that when I'm trying to tackle a subject or a particular topic, is just to lighten up because I take things very seriously. And a lot of times I think when people see the word philosophy, or you tell them you're a philosophy major, they're like, oh my goodness, that's a big deal, that's pretty scary. But it's, and it can be if you allow it to be, because things can get a little overwhelming at times. But the best thing I've learned is to just kind of let go and trust in my abilities to portray what I'm trying to say effectively. It's, because it can be a little taxing if you don't relax and just let it happen and not take yourself so seriously.
One big thing I think is don't be scared away by the vocabulary. I think a lot of people, and that's one of my perhaps biggest complaints with philosophy, if I'm allowed to say that, is that people unnecessarily throw around big technical words when they don't need them. And I think that scares people. But if you can get beyond that, and I've not run into that at IPFW, and that's one thing I've been grateful for. But if you can get past that and not let that scare you away, there's a lot more just common sense thinking and being able to, to sit down and reason through things. That's a lot of philosophy, and if you can do that, you can make it. You just don't let preconceived notions maybe get in the way of trying philosophy out and seeing whether you enjoy it.
Just to be able to dive into what you're studying and to really enjoy and love learning. That's very important, but also to not be scared off by the vocabulary and intimidated by all of that, because it's definitely it's soul food. So if you have to love what you're doing.